Hey guys, welcome to my new series called Salute Your Shorts, a name that I got from one of my favorite TV shows back in the 90s. But Salute Your Shorts is all about me celebrating and acknowledging other real estate investors who create YouTube shorts so that you guys can learn how to invest in real estate. The objective here is to provide you guys with more depth on what they are sharing with you, going into the details, the nuts and bolts, so that you guys can really understand their message and learn a lot so that you guys can become better real estate investors. I'll put the links to their videos in the description below. So if you guys like any of the videos that you guys see and you want to follow them, make sure you check that out. All right, with that, let's get on to it. Let's go salute your shorts. All right, guys, let's get right into our first video. Here we got Mr. Matt Faircloth with the DeRosa Group.
How do I raise rents without my tenants hating me? Landlords are not just trying to raise the rent so they can make more money. Our expenses are going up as landlords.
Raising rents.
We need to pass some of these things along. Sorry, it's true, but we do to keep a property going. Okay. What we try and do is try and deliver value in exchange for charging money. You're paying $850. The market's $1,000. Here's proof of that.
All right. So let's talk about that, right? So right now, this is the dilemma that the landlords are in, right? You're currently at $850, or your tenant's at $850, but market rents are at $1,000. What is the landlord to do? Matt talked about that there are increased costs that we need to pass along because otherwise we can't keep the building afloat. So what are those things? Sometimes it's taxes, sometimes it's insurance, sometimes it's repairs and maintenance. So those kind of things do go up in price. He is not joking when he says that we have to incur these costs, so we have to pass them along. Otherwise, we don't have a business. We don't have properties that we can maintain. And then that means you can't live there anymore because we're probably going to have to sell it to somebody who may not want to keep it as a rental. Okay, let's keep on going.
I need to get you up to $1,000, but what if I give you new appliances?
All right.
What if I change out all your light fixtures? Meaning like,
not bad.
You go to work in the morning at 8 a.m., you come back from work at 5 p.m., and you'll have new appliances and new light fixtures. Now, that's a win for the tenant because they're still going to keep it around market and they don't have to deal with moving. For you as a landlord, a new appliance set could cost you $2,000 plus another $1,000 for new light fixtures, so $3,000. But for $150 a month, right? Yep. That's $1,800 per year. So for a $3,000 investment, you're making $1,800 a year, which is more than a 50% ROI. Business for you, but it also benefits the tenants.
All right, let's talk about that. So here he said that this difference is $150. And then when you multiply that by 12 months, you got $1,800. All right, now he says that your investment into the appliances, the light fixtures, all those kind of things, it's going to be $3,000. When you do that math, it's a 60% ROI. All right, so I mean, 60% ROI, that's a fantastic number. The question is, will it actually cost $3,000? Because an appliance set may cost more than that. And as I was saying earlier, with taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance, everything's going up. So if I'm putting a new appliance set in, that alone might be $3,000. And then he's talking about light fixtures and everything else, and that may cost another $2,000. So it might be $5,000. But either way, we're investing money into the place. We're going to make it newer, nicer, more modern. And for you as the tenant, it's going to feel like a good place to live. You're going to have to pay more towards the space, which is $150 as he was talking about, but is it worth it to you? And that is the conversation here. So what do you guys think? If you renovated the place, and let's put you guys in the seat of the tenant. If you guys were the tenant paying an extra $150 a month, you don't have to move because anywhere else will charge you $1,000. You don't have to move and you get an updated place. So the place that you already live in, it's just going to be better. Is it going to be worth it to you paying that extra $150 a month? Put in the comments below. Also, now let's put yourselves as the landlord. Would you guys invest $3,000 to get back $1,800 per year, which is a 60% ROI? Sounds like a no-brainer. But I'm not in your position. I'm not sure what you guys would do. I know I would do it, but would you guys do that deal there? All right, let's get into the next video. All right, this should be a good one. How much I make on my first rental property. All right, let's get it.
How much I make on this rental property. This is the first property I ever bought, and I bought it in 2012. So I bought it at $241,000, and I put in a down payment of 25%, which was about $60,250. And don't forget closing costs. I put another $13,000 for renovation. So the current rent is $2,050 per month, and property management fees are 8%, which is $164 per month. Mortgage is $870 per month. Property taxes are $290 per month, and homeowner's insurance is about $50 per month. So Subtracting everything, I get about $676 per month. So I've held onto this property for like 8 years now.
Right,
I don't really
pause. Let's talk about this. All right, so she's got 164 in property management, and then she has in principal and interest 870. Then she has 290 in taxes. She has 50 insurance, and so this is her potential cash flow. But this is not enough. This, for those who follow me and know what we factor in, we have repairs, maintenance, vacancy, things like that. So let's see if she continues to cover that. Now let's talk about this real quick. So this is $73,000 back in 2012. She bought the property for $240,000. So question number one for most of you guys is, do you guys have $73,000 to actually invest in your first property? That's a lot of money for a lot of people. And what happens is, if you don't focus on raising money and doing creative financing, to put $73,000 seems like a hurdle that you can't just get over. So $73,000 is a lot. What I like to do is focus on creative financing, where I might use seller finance or subject to. And if you don't know what those are, check out my other videos. But seller financing subject to allows me to buy these properties without having to put that $73,000 down. And then I get to buy the property, renovate the property, and then refinance and pull all my money back out. Here, I don't know what she did. Also, her having to put 25% down sounds like she just went to a bank and got a traditional loan on a investment property. So I'm not sure what she did here, but $73,000 is a lot of money to put down. If you guys are looking to buy properties in other ways, that may save you this money here. But if you guys are somebody who has a lot of money, you can do this strategy. Just know that you're going to run out of money, and that's the problem. So let's see what else she has to say.
too many repairs and vacancies.
Oh, there we
It's all
go.
been really
There's
passive.
vacancies.
But if you wanted to, we can allot 10% for that. So
All
even
right.
if it were that high 10%,
Oh, what is this? Pause. Hold on. So she took this 676 cash flow, right? That we determined. She took that 676 cash flow, and then right here. So right here, I'll use my cursor. She put 10% of the 676. That shouldn't be the case. Typically, with good underwriting, people would do 10% of that, right? 10% of that is 205. So then 205, the real cash flow is that 676 minus 205, which is 471. That's the cash flow, not this number. What is a 608, right? Nobody takes 10% away from that. Now, I'm all for her accounting for it this way, but it's incorrect, right? So make sure when you guys are creating your spreadsheet that you do 10% of the actual gross rent, right? The gross rent that's up there. Oop, there it is, right? That gross rent. Because when you're creating that spreadsheet and you show it to your underwriters, you show it to your hard money lenders, you show it to your bankers, you show it to whoever, they're going to be like, okay, this person knows what they're talking about. Because if you do it this way, they might question it. Now, if they're not looking at it closely, then it might like fly under the radar. But mind you, they have their own underwriting spreadsheets. So they're going to catch it and they're going to be like, why don't these two numbers match? Because I remember when I was a loan officer, I would have my own spreadsheet. I would take a look at what the borrower submitted. I would take a look at it, but I would take all those numbers and I would input them into my own spreadsheet. And then if I got two different numbers, I'm using my numbers, not their numbers. Right. So it's my job to protect the lender. So that's why I'm going to use my spreadsheet, because I don't know what's in your spreadsheet. But make sure you account for it the right way. All right. So let's keep on going.
look at how much it can add up to after 8 years of cash flow.
All right,
And on top
so
of that,
she's got
Zillow is saying the property is worth $5.
She had $58,000 based on this number times 8 years. So you take this number instead and you multiply that by 8 years. It's going to be drastically different. Probably like $45,000 or something, not 58,000 I think she had.
$104,000 now. So if I were to sell it right now, I would get a lot of profit. Follow me from.
All right. So then it went from that to 504K, I think she said. That's a significant growth. I believe she said she used a Zestimate. Those aren't correct a lot of the time, and you're going to want to use a real estate agent. You're going to want to see what things are selling for on the market, comp it that way. In Philadelphia, we use a 0.25 mile radius around the property, the subject property, to figure out what is within our comps. But wherever you are, make sure you understand what radius they use. If you guys are more suburban, then maybe it's like a 1 mile radius, 2 mile radius. But if you're in a densely populated city, 0.25 is not unheard of. Overall, this video is pretty good because it breaks down all of these numbers. I did have that little nuance of that 10% and then also using Zestimate. I mean, it's a short. It's a good short. It's a good short because what happens is it allows you to understand all the numbers in the breakdown and what's possible. Now, here's something else that's interesting. She put down $73,000, not including closing costs, which equaled a principal and interest payment of $870. If you didn't have that much money, and let's say you were using like an FHA loan or some kind of traditional financing where you bought the property for your own primary use and then you decided to move out and then put it up as a rental, and you did something like 5% down, right? Your principal and interest is going to go up. So because you're borrowing more money, because you're putting less down, you're borrowing more money, which means if your principal and interest goes up, that means your cash flow goes down. So don't be surprised that when you're analyzing your properties that you get a difference in numbers. The other thing is, take a look at this. Her rent is $2,050 and the property purchase price was $241. You're going to add the 13, so she's all in for $254. She's slightly under the 1% rule, but because she put so much money down, the property cash flows. So it's a give and take. If you want more cash flow, put more money down, but if you put more money down, you have less money in your pocket. These are just some of the things that I want you to be mindful of when you are analyzing deals in the future. But great video, great video. All right, let's go check out the next one. All right, here's our third video of this set. This should be a good one. We got a legend here.
Real estate investment skill that matter. You gotta have the right team and the right system. You gotta have the right people on your team. Everybody from a marketing person to the banker to the contractor. You gotta have the right system where you can scale so you can all make a lot of money together.
All right. So let's stop there. Let's talk about that. So he was saying team, and system. There was a video that I put out there where I said that if you have a good contractor, then you could have a good business. But if you have a bad contractor, then you're gonna have a bad business, right? Your team is super important because unless you're doing all of the work yourself, then you're gonna have to rely heavily on your team. Your contractor can make or break you. And then in terms of systems, without your team in place, without all of that, you won't be able to scale. So that's what he's talking about in terms of systems. And for those who are looking to invest out of state, you're definitely going to want to invest where you have your team. That's what's going to keep you afloat. So if you guys are living somewhere like California or New York where it might not be landlord friendly or the price just doesn't work out for you, maybe some parts of like Virginia, like Northern Virginia where prices are high, there's a lot of Boston, right? You might go, investing in my backyard doesn't work, so I'm going to have to invest somewhere else. Fantastic. That's where creating that team and system is super important because they're the ones who are going to be doing the work. They're the ones who are going to be getting back to you. They're the ones you're going to be calling and saying, hey, can you go check out this property? So definitely create that team and system. He's absolutely right. And especially if you want to scale to doing more deals.
Skill and negotiating skill. The more you understand how to be a great salesman, and a salesman isn't someone who talk a lot. It's someone who asks good questions and listen a lot. And then you got to have good negotiating skill and you got to know what you want at the end result. The key is you want to make sure you buy right with high standard. You have to understand.
All right. So sales and negotiations. He said a very important thing, which was ask a lot of questions. When you guys are talking to sellers, you guys definitely want to ask a bunch of questions. Things like, hey, why are you selling? Hey, why are you selling now? Hey, why are you trying to sell without an agent? Or does the property need any work? Here's a good one that I do over the phone. Hey, if you had $10,000, where would you invest it into the house to fix it up? All right. So something like that allows for you to get an idea of what kind of repairs are needed. Because if you simply ask them, hey, what repairs are needed? They might say nothing. But if you go, if you had $10,000 to improve the house, where would you put it? And they'll say like, oh, I'd put it in the roof because sometimes it leaks, or I'll put it in the basement because sometimes there's humidity, or they might say because I'll put it in the kitchen because it's outdated. Then you get a different response. And so when you ask questions like that, you're going to get a different response. Ask a lot of questions and keep probing. The questions can be similar. Like again, hey, does the house need any repairs? No? Okay, let me ask a different question. Hey, if you had to put $10,000 into the house, where would you put it? Different question, different answer. Ask a lot of questions, even though they seem very similar. When asking, why are you selling? You're trying to find the motivation. Sometimes they may say, I just want to get rid of it. Okay. Did you have a tenant in there? Did you live in it? Is it vacant? Oh, it's been vacant. Okay. Are you getting violations? Are you getting high grass? Are you getting this? Are you getting that? Is it getting annoying to get the snow shoveled? So those are the kind of questions you want to ask. And in terms of negotiation, he was talking about you want to know where you're going to end up. So going into the deal, you want to already have an idea of the numbers that for the property. So what do you want to buy it for? What's the ARV? What's the rehab cost? You gotta want to have an idea of it so that when you're negotiating a number with them, you already know where you need to be. You're just going to the property, to get it like a solidified answer. But before you even go in, before you even start the negotiation, you got to know where you want to end up. All right, let's see what else.
Evaluate deal. Most people overestimate the ARV and underestimate the cost. At the end of the day, you got to know based on the margin, is this deal a keeper? Is this deal a flip? Is this deal a wholesale? Is this deal a listing?
Oh,
you
amen.
Understand that. And whatever it is, you got to make sure you follow through with that.
Wow. Okay. All right. All right. So he talked about evaluating deals. He said people overestimate the ARVs and underestimate the rehabs. If I got a nickel for every time somebody did that, especially wholesalers, man, they're like, oh, the ARV is $1 million and the rehab is $5,000. And I want to sell it to you for $250, but the actual ARV is like $230, right? And the rehab is going to be $80,000. Happens all the time. But he said something really important. He said, know the margins so that you know whether you want to, oh, that's not what he said. Keep it, right? Keep it, flip it, wholesale, or list. So that is super, super key here. Not every property is a good rental, and not every property is a good flip. And some properties you're better off wholesaling, and some properties you can't do anything but list. And so let's break that down. Why might this exist? Well, if you run your cash flow numbers, maybe you have a priority, right? Right here. Here's the priority. I would say that this should be the priority. Okay, so I think this is the priority. Step 1, keep. Does the property cash flow? Can you buy it cheap enough, and can you improve it enough to rent it for high enough so that it actually cash flows and has equity? So if the answer is yes, then I would fight to keep it. Next, I would consider between wholesale and flip, you're going to do an analysis from flipping it, right? You're going to analyze your flip. And let's say if you were to flip the property, you can make $100,000. If you can make $100,000, that sounds great. But then ask yourself the question, how much can I wholesale it for? What's my profit margin there? And I heard a rule of thumb, which was if you can make 60% of the flip profit by wholesaling it, then just wholesale it. There's something that you need to be aware of, and that's your risk-adjusted returns, okay? Risk-adjusted returns. Wholesaling has way less risk than flipping it. So when you're factoring in your risk and you have your risk-adjusted returns, getting 60% of your wholesale or of your flip profit in a wholesale deal, you're probably pretty equal. So I would say if you can wholesale it for 60% of your flip or more, then just wholesale it. And if you can't, then maybe aim for the flip. All right, maybe aim for the flip. And then finally, you have your listing, right? You have your listing, meaning you're going to act as a real estate agent and list it for them. The reason that exists is because sometimes the seller just wants their number. They want to be able to get retail for their property, and nothing you can say, no amount of creative strategies, no matter seller finance with interest and this and that, no matter what you say to them, they're going to say, I want this number and retail is this number and they're equal. And so there's no room for you in terms of a profit. So then you go, you know what? Let's try to get you your number then. Let me list it for you. And so you're going to get 2.5%, 3% of the sale price. Do your best for them. Then you still get paid. So even though it's not a keeper, it's not a flipper, it's not a wholesale deal, you still make some money from commissions listing it as a wholesale. So good breakdown. Good breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of those 3 YouTube shorts. If you guys have a short that you would like me to review, please leave the link in the comment and I'll make sure to get to that in a future video. And if you guys are interested in becoming a real estate investor, then make sure you go to honezone.com and check out my free training. Also, let me know in the comments what you guys thought of Salute Your Shorts. This is a new series that I'm trying out. So if you guys really enjoyed this, let me know below. All right, guys, till next time, I'm Hone Ty. Let's multiply.